Morning, everyone. This is Mari from Discrete Resolutions Hypnotherapy, and I've got here with me today Fiona, who has graciously given her time today to just give a bit of feedback on her experience with Discrete Resolutions Hypnotherapy. So, thanks for coming today, Fiona.
That's okay.
Now, Fiona, let's get into it, hey? So, can you just tell me briefly what issues you were facing prior to reaching out to me?
Well, originally I reached out to you end of 2021 into 2022 when I was suffering quite severe postnatal depression and anxiety, and having quite severe rage episodes. So yeah, first reached out then, and we did a lot of work on sorting all of that out, which was fantastic for really bringing me back down to earth, I guess.
Oh, good. So, what had you tried before that? And what made you think that hypnotherapy might be able to help?
So basically, I was put on the highest dose of medication as an antidepressant, and it just kept wearing off. And I felt like I wasn't being heard, that we were not dealing with underlying issues. I'd done talk therapy, and anyone that knows me knows I can talk about my dramas till the cows come home. I've gotten, but no secrets. Like I'm an open book. So I just felt like talk therapy really wasn't working. So I wanted to try something different, and came across your website and just thought, oh, well, I've got nothing to lose. You had the free initial consultation, and I couldn't have been happier with it.
Mm. So, how do you think like hypnotherapy was different to those other therapies you tried?
I think when you are doing talk therapy, you kind of have to go back through your memories and almost relive like a lot of your
Mm.
trauma, which for some people that's great. I've had multiple therapists over the years, and I've also had one who was a consistent therapist, and I just didn't feel like going back through everything when I felt like I'd already addressed so much already. So, what I found really helpful with hypnotherapy is that you're not re experiencing the emotion when you're going back through these memories. It's like, well, for me, it was like watching a movie of my life and I was an outsider, which for me was really beneficial. I didn't have to re feel all the emotions involved with the trauma that I had been through.
Yeah, that's. And did you think the information you received in the initial free consultation was helpful? In for you deciding to go ahead with the program?
Yeah, definitely. It was very like we did really in-depth interview, went through all of the things that I was suffering with, the symptoms I was having, and I mean, you were really confident in being able to help me. What I didn't mention before was we've also addressed my motion sickness, that is something that, I mean, I can go into further detail later if you want me to, but that was something that was nearly debilitating for me that I started seeing you for in 2023. And I have zero issues now, which, yeah, it's insane.
I knew that was one of the main things that you were looking for when you contacted me again,
Yeah.
and I was just so happy to hear. I was confident, like I knew it would happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the difference with having seen you for the postpartum anxiety and depression and the motion sickness, the difference for me with the motion sickness was it was such a physical response for me to get sick. I never wanted to get sick. And it was getting to the point where even me, as the driver of a vehicle, would have to stop and pull over, have the aircon in my face, would have kids screaming in the back of the car, and I would just be so, so sick. Whereas then when I would be a passenger or I'd go on a boat now, I wouldn't seek out those things. But when I would be like, oh my God, I'm not sick. Like I couldn't even sit in a rocking chair because I would be like, I'm going to vomit. Whereas it was just, it happened and I'd be sitting in it going, oh my God, I'm sitting in a rocking chair and I'm not sick. How good. Like, um, whereas I guess for the depression and anxiety, it was more I would have situations where previously I would react in a really angry outburst where then I'd just start laughing and I'd be like, oh, okay, it is working. Like it's not something that you come out of a session going, oh, I'm cured. Like, but when you then have a similar situation where you previously would have had an issue, you're like, oh, I'm all good. Like nothing's wrong, which is a huge impact on my life.
Yeah, oh, that's fantastic. So did you find when you started the program that it was all flexible, just working around your lifestyle that you had?
Yeah, very much so. So when I first started seeing you, I had to work around multiple appointments for my son, who was an ex-24 weeker, so had so many appointments daily. Then I was able to chop and change because I was obviously at the mercy of the public system with his appointments, so I couldn't really change them. But you were super flexible with what you were able to do, and even most recently as last year, I was able to work in with whatever we could both fit together. And if I couldn't make it to your place, we were able to do it via Zoom. So, super helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So, Fiona, for everyone watching, this is one of the main things a lot of people do ask. And did you ever feel like that you were not in control at any point during the sessions, or
No.
you felt okay after the sessions?
Yeah, so it's the hardest thing to explain.
I know.
It is, yeah. So it's for me personally, I would often like my brain would still be ticking over. I'd feel very relaxed. I could hear you. I could feel like all of my sensations, but I would sit there and go, like in my mind, say things like, oh, open your eyes. But I couldn't, like I would actually say things like that to myself. Or I can remember laying there thinking, oh, I'm going to have to make something up here. I don't know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden a memory would pop up across my closed eyes and you would see something. Or you'd ask a question and I would be like, I have no idea. And then all of a sudden you'd nod or you'd say no. I can't explain, but you don't feel out of control. You're still, I guess, in a conscious state, but you're not. Yeah, you feel very relaxed after it, if nothing else. But yeah, my mind was still very much aware of everything. And like I said, I would say things to myself like, oh, I'm going to have to make something up. And then all of a sudden a memory would pop. Like, yeah, it's.
So you're happy you went ahead and you'd recommend.
So happy.
Well, you have recommended people.
Yes,
and
I recommend.
Continue to do that.
Honestly, I recommend it to everyone. Even my husband, who was such a skeptic, he tells people, especially about my motion sickness, because it was such a debilitating issue. Like even just driving to Yeppoon, he would have to pull over for me to throw up. So for him to be able to see that I can, we went to Fraser Island recently, which was the big test, I guess, because the last time we went, I was so unwell. I'd vomit every day. I was just so sick. And when we went this time, after having hypnosis for my motion sickness, I was able to sit in the front seat facing backwards, feeding our baby. Like that is not something that even he could do. Whereas now I'm like, oh, I'm good. I can read a book in the car. Like I can text. I can, as the passenger, I can do all of those things. Whereas previously, I would, as soon as I got in the car, I'd just be out. You couldn't talk to me. I couldn't do anything. The kids would be screaming, wanting stuff, and he would have to do everything. I couldn't move. So he definitely recommends it as well now, and he's looking at doing hypnosis for himself as well.
Yeah, I think it always helps people looking in when they can actually see the physical changes.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think
that definitely
happened with him by the sounds of it. So
yes.
So what's the best advice you'd give to anyone, Fiona, like considering a program with discrete resolutions for hypnotherapy? What's the best advice, do you think?
Definitely go for that first session and have a conversation, or think about what you what you're struggling with, what you want to fix, and go in with an open mind, I think is the biggest thing. I always worry telling people how I experienced it. They'll go in thinking that's how it's going to be for them. So, and I don't know if that's how they're going to experience it. So, yeah, I go in with an open mind and just see what happens. I guess it's yeah, so hard to explain, but absolutely give it a go.
Yeah, it is definitely, it's different for everyone,
It
totally different
is.
for everyone.
And each session I find is different for everyone because of you obviously tailor it to what that person needs. So each time you go, depending on what program you've created, it is such a different experience each time. It's not the same time you're like, not every single time you're watching a movie or a memory, or like, it's not like that, because you have to follow what you're talking to your subconscious about.
Yes, yes. Oh, well, that's great. Thank you
Mm,
so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
no
That might
problem.
have given a few people a bit of more insight into
Yeah,
hypnotherapy and some of the benefits. You've definitely experienced a lot of benefits, so
hugely.
which is fantastic. So I'm guessing probably changed your life in a quite a major way in some areas.
Massively, yeah, definitely. Means we can
Mm.
get a bigger boat, which is good.
Got to get a bigger boat.
Oh, definitely. I don't need the land apartment now, just the bigger boat.
All right, Fiona. Look, thank you so much for joining me,
No problem.
and
Thank you.
you have a good rest of the day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.